All right, hello everyone, and this is another episode of Cooking with A La Arvy. All right, well today I am going to make, I'm going to show you, you're going to see how I make my bread dough, but I'm taking it a step further and I'm making some coconut cinnamon guava swirls. So stay tuned. Of course, you need to have a few ingredients. And I could tell you, and I'll tell you as I go along which items that you could remove from the dish depending on what you like and so forth. But of course, you need to have your bread flour, some kind of enriched flour. I you could actually use some sort of butter or whatever to however you grease your pan, or you can do like me and use this kind of spray here, and it's baking made with flour, so it's essentially is greasing the pan, but it already has the flour and everything in it, so you don't have to do the extra stuff. So I'm doing that today. Of course, you need some sugar, salt, you need some, for my case, cinnamon. I have a stick here too of margarine, one egg. I use almond milk, so I have my almond milk, and then of course you need some yeast, and then I have my cups and different things for what I have to do and what I'm getting ready to do. So let's get started. Okay, now I cannot emphasize enough how you have to keep your hands clean and your nails and all kind of stuff, especially I'm going to be kneading dough and all of this kind of stuff. So don't wear no rings, no bracelets, all those things, take them off. You don't need them and you don't want them contaminating the rings or stuff on your hand, nor whatever it is you're trying to fix. So of course, wash your hands first. Get your hands washed and make sure your hands are clean. So I'm gonna start with preparing for the bread part of the dish, or the item, or my dessert rather. Make sure everything is dried. I got some water splashed in there. All right. So of course you get a nice bowl. Depending on how much you're making, you want a bowl that's big enough for you to not make too much of a mess and handle what you need to handle. Yeah. So I don't measure anything. So you're just gonna have to pay attention and figure out based on what I'm doing. And a lot of things is to taste and to what you like. So you just have to make sure that you're doing that, whatever that means for you. So I'm gonna show you how I like it and what I'm doing and how I'm preparing this particular one today. And you pick out what things you don't like, add what things you like, make it your own. Making a mess with the flour already. It's a big, huge bag of flour. All right. Okay, to simplify, I'm just going to use this to get me out some stuff. I don't measure anything, but since I'm making, and I might save some of the dough for later for another item, so I'm going to probably do roughly around half of this bowl of flour. Yeah, this is about good for now. I'm going to just do a little bit more. Press you out of the way. Just rinse this back out because I need this actually to something else later. So I'm just going to rinse this out a little bit. All right, so let me show you. So it's about half of this bowl of flour, okay? All right, so now you need your tablespoon. So I'm gonna test, I keep saying that this is a tablespoon. Let's just see if this thing is a tablespoon. Yep, okay, so I was right, this thing is a tablespoon. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to add, so this is my bread dough. So I'm going to add 5 of these. typically, depending on how sweet, you know, your bread needs to have a little bit of sweetening in it. So depending on how sweet or not sweet you like it, you do it. But since I'm making it in a dessert form, I'm just going to do the full 5, okay? All right. All right. So we want to stir this up here. And you're just stirring the sugar into the flour, okay? Now I just do a little bit of what I'm calling a pinch of salt. See, about a pinch of salt. And I'm not doing more than that because I'm going to be adding it when I'm doing my yeast to rise. So it's going to have some salt in there. Okay. All right. Now you don't have to use margarine. You could do without the margarine or the butter or whatever it is. This is margarine. You could use butter or you could not use anything at all. But what I'm going to do now is put this stick of margarine and I'm just going to, rest it on the top and leave it on the side here, okay? While that is doing that, now it's time to prepare my yeast stuff and some other things. So again, I don't measure things out. Whatever yeast you want to get, whatever yeast you think. I have mine, I buy my yeast in bulk, so that's why mine is in the bag. So this cup, as you see, this cup is empty, and you want a cup, this is the one for the yeast, for the rising of the yeast. So you want a cup that has, you know, has some length to it so that the yeast have time to really get into itself and flourish. So I am going to just, let's see here. I'm just thinking of how much I'm making, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. Okay, so as you can see, this is how much I'm adding here. Okay? Yeah? We're not done there yet. Okay. Now, we need to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now this one is measured. So we got the yeast. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of sugar here. And then we need to add 1 teaspoon. Teaspoon, okay? Don't get it mixed up. 1 teaspoon of salt. And then swirl this around, get it mixed in with the yeast. Okay, as you can see it's mixed in, yeah? Then you need to add lukewarm water. Not hot, not cold, lukewarm. Lukewarm is just about a little above room temperature, just a slight bit above room temperature, okay? You don't want it too hot and you don't want the water to be flowing too hard when you're putting it in. I just put it on a little heavier just so that I can get, okay. All right, it's about there. Okay, all right, so now it's lukewarm. And so I'm just gonna add some water in there. Okay, let me show you what I'm doing. So Add some water, and then I'm stirring everything in with the water. And I remember, as I said, lukewarm water, not just hot, not cold, lukewarm. Okay, since there's so much in the thing, I'm just gonna add a little bit of water just to get that last remnants. And remember, I don't like to waste things, so just getting a little bit to get this thing off of here, get it into the bowl. Come on. Okay, just one last spin around since I just added a little bit more water. All right, then I set this aside. This is going to do its thing, yeah? Okay, so now I'm waiting for the yeast to rise and bubble up. While that's doing that, in this cup, I am going to add 1 egg. Well, before I do the 1 egg, before I do the 1 egg, I'm gonna add some almond milk. And this is an optional part. I do this just to add a little extra richness to the bread, but you can do without this whole part that I'm about to do. You can do without it if you don't want to. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. So a little less than half of this size cup, okay? Sorry, don't measure nothing. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, now you add in 1 egg, doesn't matter what size. And again, this whole part that I'm doing is all optional, okay? Now we're going to add one more tablespoon of sugar to this mixture here. And then you get a fork and you mix it up. So just make sure that it's mixed in good, almost like you're making scrambled egg, you know, to whip it up with a fork. So it's all mixed in good, the sugar mixed in with the almond milk, with the egg. All right, so this is just going to sit on the side here and wait. So now we are just waiting now for this yeast to rise before we go to the next step. All right. Okay, so now that we have, see, our yeast has risen all the way to the top. You can see that. And so now it's time to continue. So what we're going to do, we're going to put all of this in here. We're going to pour, remember our egg and almond stuff. And of course, I'm just going to add a little bit of water just to get the remnants out of here as well. Same goes for here. All right, so now see, hence why your hands have to be nice and clean, and just to give it an extra little stuff to it, just make sure. The next part is where it gets a little bit gruesome, in a good way. And actually, I'm gonna just in case I need some more flour, I'm going to get me a small cup. Actually, I'm gonna use this. Get me a small cup just in case I need to get some more flour. Okay, so with all of this in here now, it's time to, so remember that margarine or butter, whatever you put in there? So now you gotta use your hand and you're essentially mixing it and grabbing and squeezing that margarine or that butter to get it not just soften, but to get it mixed in as well. So you want that butter to essentially disappear. And some people like to use a mixer to mix it up here, but it's nothing like really feeling it to see, so then you know the texture that you need to have. It's easier to see when, you know, if it needs something more, if it needs some more flour, if it needs a little bit more liquid, whatever it needs. So this is the part here that really is important in trying to create not just a homogeneous mixture, but ensuring that you have a right balance of what all you need, right? Okay. As you can see, it's starting to come together. And I can see I'm going to need more flour. Yep, I'm absolutely going to need some more flour. So it's good I got that cup ready to go. Coming to come. We're almost there. Now you're probably wondering, why was she only using one hand at first? I like to use one hand so that if I have to grab some more flour, grab some more of this, I have at least one hand that's clean, while the other hand is all in the goo. Or in this case, the dough, right? And by the way, one thing I did not mention is for the yeast, make sure that your yeast is not expired. Make sure that your yeast is still current, so that way the activity of the yeast is good. And it usually takes, I don't know, about maybe between 15 to 20 minutes for the yeast to rise appropriately. And again, it depends on whether it's expired or not, and what condition the yeast is in. If you've stored it accurately according to the instructions or not, lots of things is dependent on how active your yeast is, but typically will take about 15 to 20 minutes, okay? Almost. You see more and more why you can't have rings and all these different things all over your fingers and stuff, huh? Because the stuff could get all sticked up in there, stuck up in there, not sticked up. I don't know what kind of English I'm trying to speak today. Can get it all stuck up in there, and you do not want that. with it for it not to stick on my hands anymore. That's when I know it's ready to go. So it needs a little bit more. Not sure that I need any more flour quite yet. I'm gonna mix it in a little bit more and see what we got. Yeah, need some more flour. Not quite there yet. All right. Okay. I think we've got it. Just a little bit more around the edges. Just a little. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're almost there. See that? Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. See that? Mm-hmm. All right, let's get all this extra stuff off of my fingers. All right. And we are good. Put this here for now. Yep. Here we go. Absolutely. Okay, so as you can see, yeah, we have some good dough. Perfect. All right, now for part of my inside, I told you I'm making some coconut cinnamon guava swirls, right? And so for the guava, I used fresh guava. So right now I'm gonna take a few minutes. I actually made the guava inside. I actually made it last night. So I'm gonna take a few minutes to show you the video from what I did to make the guava part yesterday. Okay, and then I'll be back to continue on. Okay, so I have some overripe guavas here, and so I'm going to make the insides for my special dessert treat. So the only thing you need is, of course, you need to clean off your guava. You need a knife, a cutting board, and this is what it's going to look like when you start to get on the inside, right? Okay, let's get to it. All right, so I mentioned about the water here, you know, making sure that you clean them off. So what you want to do next is just take the outer skin off, but you want it to get close to the surface. You don't want to take off too much of your guava. So you just, you know, you pretty much just want to get the outskirts, yeah? I normally cut this thing off first, but I didn't do that. But either way, you have the concept of what it is you're supposed to do. This guava smells so, so good. Remember, just cut. Yeah, that was a little bit too much guava in that one. You don't want to overdo it. You really don't want to overdo it. You want to save as much as of your guava as you can. Yeah, cut off the bad pieces, you know. Save as much of it as you can, especially us up here in the States. We can't get these things so easy, so we gotta take good care of them when we get them. All right. All right, and so what we're trying to do is avoid the seeds, right? So we start kind of shaving it a little bit. Cut. We want the meat, but without the seed. See, we get a little bit of seed in this one here. We don't want no seed. We just want the meat. I mean, there's a whole, I mean, you know, some people blend it and then take the time to find the seeds and all of that. But either way, the key is, however it's more comfortable to you, the key is that you want to separate the guava meat from the seed. However that works for you, that's how you do it. And then after a while, I'm going to try to see if I can scoop out some of that seed and get some more of that meat that's in there around it. All right, but you get the gist. You see that? So this meat goes in my bowl, and I'm going to do the rest of that for the rest of these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so now that I'm finished doing that, this is the guava that I have collected from those guava. And so now we're going to blend that in the blender. Not in the blender, but we're going to blend it, okay? We're going to not blend it, mix it with the mixer. And you probably might want to get a bigger bowl. It can get really messy. I'm trying to not make it too messy here, but let's see what we got. Oops, I'm not making it messy. Splattering everywhere. All right. Let me not be so messy. Okie dokie. Let's just transfer this on over to a bigger bowl, shall we? Didn't want to lose any of my guava. All right. Guava smells so good, you just have no idea how good this guava smells. All right, I am going to blend this actually in the blender for a little bit and be right back. All right, so I have blended it so it can come out like a puree. People have different, tools that they use. You see how this is like a puree. The reason why I blended it first is just in case there was any residual seeds. I would see the seeds and remove them before they get blended into my mixture. I don't like having seeds in my mixture, so I don't like doing that. You see what that looks like? I'm gonna zoom in a minute. All right, but as I always say, I don't want to lose any of my guava. You don't want to have too much water in there. I'm just trying to maximize as much as I can. I'm just going to blend it just for a little bit just to get that one in the bottom up. Again, I don't like to waste. Much better. All right. Okay, there we go. Okie dokie. That. Now it depends on what you like, right? If you just want your inside, and I'm making a treat I call a swirl. I'm gonna show you how to make the swirl, how to make the dough and all of that for the swirl that I'm going to make. But this is the inside that I'm going to put. So think of it like, like how you have almost like a Vienna cake, but except it's going to be like a Vienna bread, but with the inside being in a swirl. I'll show it to you, you'll see. But anyway, so at this point in time, if you only want guava alone, then you'll just add your sugar here. I don't put essence in this because the guava is strong and I don't want it to be masked too much with any vanilla or anything else. But it's up to what you like, what flavors you like, what you like. For me, no essence in this anyway. So for me, I am also going to be adding some cinnamon and some coconut flakes to my guava for my inside. Again, if you don't want the extra stuff, just keep it at guava, keep it at coconut, keep it at cinnamon, whatever it is. But for me, this is how I'm doing mine. So I'm going to have a coconut cinnamon guava swirl. That's what I'm making. All right, so for the cinnamon, and I'm sorry, but I don't measure anything. So I'm just going to do, well, I don't know, how much was that? 5 dashes? I don't know, I don't measure anything, okay? And I'm just going to add, I don't know. That's what, maybe a half a cup? I don't measure anything. So you have to just go based on what you like, based on what you taste. So apologies for those that need to be more specific, but you can work it out to see what I'm adding, work it out based on what you think it is, and try it. It's a matter of tasting what you like, you know? I'm gonna add a little more in a minute after I taste this bad boy. Before I add the sugar, so I could know how much sugar I need to add. Okay, let me get another spoon. Let's see what we got. Okay, it has enough cinnamon for sure, so I'm not adding enough cinnamon. I'm not adding any more cinnamon, but I do need to add some more coconut before I add the sugar. All right. Okay, that's all the coconut I am going to add. And then I'm going to add, I think these things are probably more like a tablespoon. So I'm going to add initially 3 tablespoons. And again, this might be a little more than a tablespoon. Again, I don't measure anything. So don't say that I tell you 3 and it wasn't 3. Do it to taste, whatever you like. Make sure it tastes like what you want it to taste like. That's really good. But it needs more sugar. But this is a dessert, so it all depends on what you like. For me, and for who I'm making this for my household, they like sweet too bad. So I'm gonna do 2.5 of this. Let's see if that's enough. It's tasting really good, but actually I think I'm going to do a dash more of cinnamon. That was what, 2 dashes there. I'm definitely going to add one more. I'm just gonna add 2 actually. Definitely no more sugar, so I'm gonna put the sugar up. And I know I said I wasn't going to add any more coconut, but I am. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna add the rest of this because it's only a little bit in the bag and I don't like having a bunch of little bags sitting around the place. So that's gonna be all she wrote. And by the way, it was not a full bag of coconut in case you're trying to replicate it the exact way I'm doing it. It was more like a little, like a half to a little less than a half a coconut that I had remaining in the bag. FYI, you know? Okay. Okay, this should be it. Let me get my other spoon so I can just do one last taste. Okay, perfect. All right, so from here, this is going to get covered up and put in the refrigerator for about a couple hours, and then I'm going to use it for the rest. I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Okay, so this is what it looks like before I cover it and put it in the fridge. Yeah? You don't have to use foil. You could use cellophane, you know, wax paper, whatever it is you want to cover it with, but it just needs to go in the refrigerator. Okay. Okay. So here we have the guava portion that I made. Yeah. And so let's go ahead and get that situated. So I'm gonna rest this back here. I don't need it quite yet. Right now what I need to do is roll out my dough. I'm just gonna put a little bit of flour on here so that you know, it doesn't stick, although it's good. I know it's good. See, I'm gonna do how many I'm gonna put in the pan there. And also, one thing that I need to do as well too before I get this too ready is to I could use a little bit of flour. Anyway, I have some on here. Is to go ahead and spray my pan, right? How big do I want this? Let's see. Just add a little piece more. And then I put another one in the smaller pan. Yep. Okay. Alrighty, righty. You're in the kitchen with A La Arvy. Bum, bum, bum. I love to cook, I love to bake. I guess you can probably tell that by now, huh? I love to be in the kitchen. All right. I think you're just about almost finished. If you're not finished already, I'll put a little bit more in there. Finish you off. So I show you up. I think you are gone. And you want to get all the sides and stuff because anywhere that it'll touch, you know, so you don't want it to stick. And we good. Okay. Let me just get this out of the way for right now so you can see what I'm doing. All right, this all together. I'm checking for parts that might need a little bit more flour. Okay, so then it's simple, you know, think about rolling out a pizza. I mean, obviously this is not a pizza, but this is the concept. And you want it to get flat because you're going to be rolling it up. So you want it to get flat. Put some more in this corner here. Move you over a little bit. Bring you up a little bit. You don't want it too thin, yeah, but you want it flat enough where you have a nice even spread. Okay. This is okay for now. All right. So what you're going to do, just for a base, is you're going to take some sugar and you're going to just do it all around and you're going to get a spoon. I'm going to show you in a minute. Now again, you know, it all depends on what you like. If you don't like it so sweet, you can make it as bland as you want, as flavorful as you want, you know? Whatever you want. Me, I like things flavorful. And I like things to taste good. So for me, you know, I do it that way to make sure I get the right balance. Make sure that I like it most importantly. And then the people that I'm making it for to like it also. So I'm taking the time to try to show you. Although I don't measure anything, hopefully you're able to really catch the vibes of what I'm doing here. I don't know how much you can see this, but it's looking like crystalline and spread out a good bit. Okay? All right. Now, I'm gonna take a glop of this and start to spread. Start there and see what else we need. You see? You checking it out? Check out the bag. Oh, this guava smells. Oh, you have no idea how good this smells. It smells really, really good. But you want this to be flat. You don't want to have any big gucks anywhere, you know. You want it to be as flat as it can be. Oh, this smells heavenly. If this was only smell-o-vision, you'd see what I'm talking about. It really has a really, 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 really nice smell. Guava skin. That's not skin. That's my cinnamon. Clumped cinnamon. Ah, there we go. See, you want to get it around the edge. Y'all, I'm not lying. This thing smells, it smells fabulous. I know that's not a word, come on now. But it does smell really good. Look at that, look at that. Oh yes, look at that. It's almost like a pizza, but you're gonna see what we do next with it, huh? Get it as close to the edge as you can. And again, your insides, as you saw in my video when I made this, is whatever you want. You know, in this particular case, I wanted some nice fresh guava with some cinnamon and some coconut. You might want pineapple. You might want something else. So customize it, make it, you know, you have the basic know-how of how to do it. So just change it on up and make it your own with whatever it is you want on the inside, yeah? Up here. Okay. Alrighty. Stick you there. All right, now this is the part where it really is important. Pay close attention now. So you're gonna start to edge up the sides. Edge up the sides. Got a little bit of the sauce on my hand. Edge up the sides, yeah? And this is where I'm gonna start my roll. But I'm gonna try to even it up a little bit first. Since I didn't, okay, so this is, you start, you see? Tuck and roll, tuck and roll, tuck and roll. Tuck and roll, tuck and roll, tuck and roll. You seeing that? You see that? Once you tuck and roll, it's easier as you go along. The first tuck is a little bit more challenging, but you just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And you're tucking and rolling, but you're lifting a little bit too because you don't want it to gather up. You want it to stay underneath, yeah? Yeah. You see that? Hope I didn't make it too long. You seeing this? No. Oh, come on. What'd you get on here? Okay. So I'm just gonna close the top. Close the top up. And what I'm gonna want to do, or what you're gonna want to do, see that? So what you're gonna want to do is this part that's wrapped over, you're gonna want to lay that part flat down there. That's why it's important that you make sure that all the parts have some grease, yeah? Make sure this little spot right there. Okay, everything else looks like it's got some grease. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna get me a little bit of help. So I'm gonna get me a spatula. Just to kind of help me lift a little bit. So yeah, so this was a little bit too big for the pan, so I'm just turning it over a little bit here. Just rolling up a little bit. Okay. Let's just put you in the corner. So I'm shaping it out like a C. Bring you back over so that part is pulled. Yep. And your clip there. Okay. So number one is in the pan, my partial C. Yeah? And then what I'm gonna do, now is sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on the top and a little bit of sugar. Again, to your discretion. And then this has to rise. So this, you know, this is the bread dough. And of course, that's the bread dough. So if you're just making bread, then you wouldn't add as much sugar up front, like I was explaining earlier. And then of course you don't mix this stuff in it. You just roll them out into your titty bread, your balls, your pan for sliced bread, whatever it is you want at that point, yeah? But for me, this is what we're looking like right now. I'm going to cover this with a towel and I'm going to put it aside and I'm going to wait for it to rise. Once it rises to a level that I want, then I'm going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees. So I'll show you that as well. All right, so this is one. Now, I have more dough left, so I might do a combination of several different things. So that one's going to be the swirl. I'm going to show you when I cut it up into different things. And then now I can be a little bit more creative because I have more dough, I have more insides. So instead of making another swirl, like you'll see with that one, I could actually make some mini swirls actually. I can make a couple of mini swirls and I could actually make some bread with the middle and the center, some rolls with the center with the coconut stuff, right? So let's see what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna start with too much flour. I'm gonna start with it's just doing maybe just 2 swirls. I'm gonna need another pan. Yeah. Actually, I want to do 2 swirls. I'll put swirl here, and then some stuff there. So let me spray the pan while I'm thinking about what I want to do. Okay. All right, so I think let's do that first. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. So this is just a smaller version of what I just showed you with the big swirl. Yeah? This thing smells so good, you just have no idea. Okay. And you remember, right? This one is easier because it's smaller, so now we can lift and roll. You see? Can you see it? Lift and roll. You see that? And then you want to lay it down on the side that's opened. So we're gonna lay it down there. We're gonna do another one here. And these, well, I'll show you when I'm finished. I did not ask you to roll up this. Same principle, same concept. And you notice with this one, I didn't add any sugar on the inside, right? I'm just pasting on the inside. These are smaller, these are more controlled, and they don't need the extra base on the smaller version. I mean, you can add it if you want to, but I'm not adding it to this. Okay, same concept. Lift and roll, lift and roll. Ta-da! I'm gonna put you down this way. Do I want to do any more before I do the insides? Maybe I'll do a small one there. Well, let's do some rolls. Okay, so now for this, we're not gonna roll these. We're gonna take our fingers and do them out like this. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add, see, you see that in the middle like that? Then we cover it up, like a ball. Yeah, make sure it's all sealed. Okay. See that? And then we put it down where the opening would be. We put it down. So it's almost like you're making some bread rolls, except we have something in the middle. We have a little bit of a treat. This guava just makes me feel like I want to eat it just like this right now. So. You see that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these, and then I'll be back to show you when I'm finished. See that? Okay, so this is what this pan looks like. And guess what? I still have some more dough. And I still have a little bit of my inside. So I'm going to make one more small swirl to add to my collection. So this is I'm gonna cover this with a towel now. And then this is going to also rise. I'm gonna give it about another, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes or so to rise before I put it in the oven. So I'll be back in again for the next step. Okay, so instead of, I was gonna save this dough for something else, but actually I'm gonna do another swirl, but I'm gonna do a half swirl. A little bit different this time. You'll see what I mean. So I'm gonna use a bit of what I have left there, and then I'm gonna do the other side in just cinnamon and sugar. So it's gonna be like almost like a cinnamon bun, but in a swirl. My household's gonna be very happy with all of these treats that I've made. A little more than I intended to make today, but it's okay. One thing for sure in this household is it's not going to go to waste. So, and what perfect time. We're in the middle of a storm now, so what perfect time to have all of these treats. Over here a little bit. All right. Okie dokie, 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 dokie. tune. And I'm using, you see how I'm doing the spoon at a diagonal to spread the sugar. Don't know if you noticed that the first time or not, but just making sure that you're aware of it this time. It's really storming out there. But this is going to be my really sugar side, because this is where I'm going to put the cinnamon. And I probably have a little bit more over there because it's only got so much of that other stuff left. So let's see what we got. And what the sugar does, you know, especially with the cinnamon that's by itself with no guava or anything else to help it out, you know, cinnamon by itself can stick up in your mouth and make it very hard for you to swallow. So the sugar acts as a lubricant. Once it's melted, you have a nice little base or lubricant for the cinnamon to be moist and meshing nicely, right? Okie dokie. So on this side, we'll put the rest of this. It's really pouring out there, y'all. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's really storming out there. We have thunder, lightning, and now the rain has started. Down maybe a little bit there, and then the rest. So that top paste. And I've already sprayed my pan, in case you're wondering. Okay. Again. All right. Okay, so now that's it for this side. And then the other side is going to be cinnamon. I can see I need more sugar to help get it in the way I need it to be. And to be fair, typically when I'm doing the cinnamon sugar, I usually pre-mix them together and then just sprinkle it on, but that's okay. There are more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Or a dog, for that matter. Or a squirrel. I mean, how far are we gonna go with this? don't want to overdo it, man. So. All right. Okay, so you see, almost like you know how you do with these pizzas, you have half of this and half of that. So that's what we have, half of this and half of that. And so now there goes the part now. A lot of cinnamon on there. Let's get you back in here. There we go. All right. Voila. So now we do what we do, but we don't want to do this because then we'll just have one side with the beginning part with the cinnamon and then the other part on top. But I want it to be where, actually I changed my mind. I am going to go this way because if I do it this way, if you cut, wherever you cut, it's just going to be this on this side, that on that side. But I want to have sort of kind of a mixture in the layers. So if we do it this way and we roll and go that way, then it's going to have, you'll see the distinction of both of them a little better. So anyway, so we're going to lift and roll here. Do the normal here, yeah? So, and this is bigger, so it's not as easy as the other one, as the smaller ones rather. Lift and roll, lift and roll, lift and roll. I'm trying not to make sure that it's not as loose as the other one. It should not have been that loose. You want to really make it tighter. You see? Get you caught up. That's the part of the issue. It's because you needed a little bit more flour on the base, so it's sticking to the counter, which it should not be. So that tells me that I needed some more flour on the base. And maybe even the dough itself could have probably used a little bit more flour. But in any event, you got the point, you got the gist, and all right, there. And I'm going to do a little bit of a C again with this one, so it's a little easier to control. All right. Which belly do I want? So I'm going to do down and there, except I'm going to, after I roll you, I'm going to roll you this way. So this one's a smaller C. This one, I am not going to put the cinnamon and the sugar on the top of this one, just to distinguish it between the one that's just the guava coconut cinnamon versus the one that has a little bit something different in here. So now this is going to get off now to sit up. Not to sit up, but to rise and to give it some time to rise. So I'm going to show you when they're all risen and about to go in the oven. Do you hear that thunder? Ooh, storming. Okay. The bread, not the bread, I'm sorry, my coconut, cinnamon guava swirls and other types, they have risen to a satisfactory amount. So I am about to put it in the oven. I'm just waiting for the oven to finish preheating at 350. Okay, that's the next step. So I'll show you what the finished product looks like after they come out. Well, everything's coming along nicely. Look at that. Yep, coming along nicely, coming along nicely. So I'm waiting for everything to brown, but as you can see, ooh, they definitely puff up and looking nice and smelling good. All right, the first batch is out the oven. And anyway, what you're gonna wanna do, I'm just actually using a little bit of butter here because I'm actually out of margarine now. But just rest it over the top so that when it cools, not only do you have a nice glossy top, but it's keeps its moisture, right? So that's what I'm doing here. Same thing with these. This thing smells so good. You have no idea. Oh, smells really good. All right. And there we have it, folks. First batch of stuff. And we have what? The last one in there, the last C. All right, just took the first set out of the pan and just, just see the swirly. And then when you cut in the middle, you'll see the swirl. And just to show you even this kind here. And then in the middle, yeah, it's already seeping out. The middle has the nice goodness. All right, so first set. Here we have about to cut this one. So I'll be showing in a minute what the inside looks like. All right, just wanted to show you, I've started the cutting, just wanted to show you what the inside looks like. See, hence why I call it a swirl. So you see that nice fluffy bread dough in there, and this one has some coconut and some cinnamon. This side's a little bit more juicy because this one has more of the top part with the coconut and the guava. You see? So this is why it's called a swirl. All right, let me finish cutting this up. This one's all cut up. Now it's time to take the other one out of the oven. The last one is finished, and now I'm going to take it out and put it on the cutting board and start cutting you up. All right, let the cutting begin. All right, I'm cutting up the other one, but now we have a tester. All right, this is of one of the swirls. Can you turn around? Let's see the inside. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah? Nice. And there we have it, folks. Finishing cutting up this set. Okay, she's tried these. Now she's about to try the one with its center. Go ahead. Let me see the middle. All right. How is that?
Wow.
All right. I'm still cutting up, and as you can see for this set, by the way, you see it's a tighter roll. So let me maybe this is a tighter roll, so you can see how it's a little bit, the swirls are not as loose. It's much tighter in this one. All right, let me finish cutting up. All right, folks, this is the end of this session. As you can see, this is the side with the guava, coconut, cinnamon. This is the side with just the cinnamon. Some of them with just the cinnamon and sugar, and some of them with 1/2 cinnamon sugar and the other half the coconut, guava, and cinnamon. So there you have it. And then, of course, my daughter ate a few pieces already. So this is what's left. We have these long ones are swirls, and then these are like bread rolls, but in the center have the guava, coconut, cinnamon, like I showed you. All right, let me go finish cleaning up now. It was very nice being with you today on this A La Arvy session of how to make bread, because that's just the first part of my recipe. And the final product, as you have seen, coconut, cinnamon, guava swirls, and also bread rolls with coconut, cinnamon, guava centers. So until next time, you take care. Sparkles out. Or as you know me on these sessions, A La Arvy. as my recipes go. Take care and hope you have a blessed day. And whatever time zone you're in, enjoy the rest of it. Take care.